Okay, so what we're going to do in this session is, as opposed to what we did last week, where we made some random data and put it into a coll object so that we could then stream it out or sample it, what I'm going to do is go straight from an Excel spreadsheet into Max, use multiple different columns worth of data, and then do something with it. All right, so it's not really the most exciting or sexy way of using Max, but it's about formatting and about actually having those kind of capabilities on the ground level that we can then do other things with. I mean, last week we did get practical and we started doing stuff in live and things, but this week it's really mainly looking at the data and how we can kind of format things, but it should prove useful. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to get into Excel. Oops. And I'm going to open up a data set. Now this is just something that I got from the ABS, crime statistics. There was one particular table that I found interesting, and this is victims of crime. I think it was this one. Here we go, relationship to offender. Now, it might not be your cup of tea, this particular data set, but it's just something that has 3 different types of data that I thought might be useful to use. So what I'm going to do, rather than using the whole data set, is I'm just going to grab this much, I'm going to copy it, open up a new workbook. I'll just zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so that's my data there. If you didn't see on the original, what we actually have is data victims face-to-face threatened assault, relationship to offender, and total victims is the first column, and then victims believed to have been affected by alcohol or any other substance, and then ones that aren't. Okay, so it's 3 different angles on the same data, basically. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. I don't need that anymore. Now I've got this new data. For Max to be able to read a data set like this properly, you need to be able to convert it into a different format, and we can do that super easily from Excel. So we're just going to simply go Save As. Instead of saving it as a workbook or comma separated values, which I mentioned last week, it's actually tab delimited text, the most basic form. So I'm going to call this crime stats class 2. Okay, yes, that's fine. No, I'm going to get rid of it. Yes, I want to save it. Oh, I thought I already did that. Okay, don't save, that's fine. Right, now let's get into Max. And I want to show you why we needed to save it as that particular kind. First of all, if I open up a coll object, zoom in so you can see it, and I try and read this file straight away, we'll notice something. Crime stats class 2. So I can see all my data's there. If I try and open it, look in the coll, nothing. Error in text file line 1. It needs to be formatted. So remember last week we talked about formatting data. In a coll, it needs to have an index and then a comma, the data plus a semicolon. All right. So coll doesn't understand if you've just got a word or a sentence and then different floating point data points. So we got to format that, and this is what this class is all about. Okay. So we're going to use another object which stores text in the same way that coll does, but it's a little less finicky. It's called text. So we're going to read our file into the text object. Same file. You can double click, have a look. It's all there. Now we need to format it for coll to be able to read it. So to get all of this information out all at once, we use the dump command. Coll's got a very similar one. There's a lot of objects that store data. If you send it a message dump, it's going to spit out all that data line by line, one by one. Okay, so we'll just prove that by printing it to the Max window. Let's have a look. Dump, and there it all is. Now we'll notice though that prepended before each one is the word set. So it's really simple to what we similar to what we had yesterday or last week with the coll object. It was the word symbol before anything that was a word or a string. So we just need to strip that out so that we can use it. So that's fine. So we don't need print anymore. I'll use root set, and then I can easily get that data out. Now, the thing is we remember from the coll last week, we needed to index each one of these data points. Now, we've got 3 columns, but we're indexing them by row, okay? In this case, what's different to last week is that our index is actually a word, it's a string, okay, or a symbol. So we need to be able to use that, and coll can use a symbol, which is great. So what we're going to do is we're going to use ZL to strip off the data points from the actual index itself. So it's the word slice backwards, ekils, to grab the 3 data points on the end of the list. And I'll just prove that so that when I dump this output, we'll view it in a message box, and we'll view it the other part in a message box. If I dump,
spelling error on slice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Ekils slice. Next story. There we are. Okay, so it's put them out one by one, and all we're seeing is the last row, other person, known person. Okay, that's really good.
So that skips the set. Is the root it? That's the setup?
That's right. Yeah, so root, what it does is it looks for a message that starts with set.
And then it just doesn't output.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So if I was sending text out and also I was sending floating point numbers out, it would strip the set away, and I could also add float, and it would put the floating point numbers out the float column and the set ones that are prepended with set out the other one. Okay, but we don't need to do that right now. Cool. Okay, so that's good. Now we still need to format it to be able to work in coll though. Once this comes out, we'll notice that, actually put these back, we'll notice that this doesn't have the apostrophes around it. Remember, a symbol, especially if there's more than one word, we need to have apostrophes around it so that we know that it's actually a string. Okay, so that was something simple we did last week. We did toSymbol. And we'll note that it gives it its apostrophes, okay, which means it's now formatted to be a symbol. And all we then have to do is to format this to go into the coll. So let's do that right now. So we know that there are 3 data points. Unpack 3 floats. And then we use a pack, a symbol first, and then 3 floats. Okay, we'll connect these. And then a symbol. Okay, so let's have a look at what that does.